Hi, everyone. I'm Jez Govan, and I am the creator of Fast Track Technique and Magical You, two amazing systems that I kind of co-created with God that have helped thousands of adults and children around the world to make massive changes in their lives. And it's always puzzled me is why these are so amazing and yet they don't get out in the world where they deserve to be. And as you can imagine, I've looked at all sorts of different aspects of myself and how I might be holding that back, etc., etc. And today, I want to share with you a couple of situations that happened, which has blown me away. And I want to share with you so that you can also, if you choose, join me in Magical You and its possibilities and Fast Track, which is amazing because it bypasses the conscious mind and it goes to the root cause of the problem that you're working with or the challenge that you're working with. So this morning I was working with a lovely lady who is training in Magical You, and she used me as a guinea pig to do one of her very first sessions. And so, as you can imagine, I was being guinea pig, and then I was putting on my trainer's hat, going back to being the guinea pig, all over the place. And this amazing game still worked. It was absolutely huge. And I had a mental, emotional, and physical experience right there in front of my trainee, which surprised us both. It was incredible. And after the session, I decided to continue this work because I knew it was something big for me. And because I know how amazing these two systems are and the feedback I get from people that use them, I've always wondered, like, why aren't they out in the world where they belong, where they should be? And I have, of course, looked at many, many different scenarios that involved myself using Fast Track and using Magical You. And each time they've been great and they've shed more light and I've released the emotions, etc., whatever it was. But right now I'm in a project, involved in a project, which could absolutely explode me into global awareness. And of course, that's what I want. And that's what I want for Fast Track and for Magical You. Consciously, that's what I want. Yet things were building up and I was getting very stressed, very emotional, and overreacting to things that I didn't need to overreact to so strongly. And that had me questioning my responses. And so when I did the session today with the Magical You, it showed me a couple of things that I was not really aware of. Things can only present themselves to you when you're ready to receive them. Otherwise, it's a waste of time, right? So I was obviously ready to receive this intelligence. And then I started to process it by myself. Just went out to a coffee shop and sat there, pen and paper, muscle testing, and what's it all about. And it was absolutely incredible. But what it did was it took me back to the age of 8. And I was very keen about drawing. I'm not saying I was good at it, but I loved copying pictures and seeing what I could do with them. I really enjoyed that. And we had a teacher, a new art teacher in our class. Her name was Mrs. Filshy. I think she'd be dead by now, so it's okay for me to use her name. And she was quite exotic for our little school. She wore very brightly coloured clothes, and she looked she looked special. And I'd been practicing drawings, which I was copying from somebody else, and trying to make into my own. And that was just my own way of playing. And I was quite proud of what I'd got, what I'd developed. And it was like a real mod little girl that I'd drawn. And I showed it to her, being quite pleased. And she commented and told me I was copying off somebody. She laughed at my drawing. She told me I was copying and not being original, and that the girl that originally did this drawing was way better than me. And it blew me away because I wasn't trying to be anything other than what I was. But the impact that that had on me, as I trace this back through Fast Track, is that what I've been doing ever since that terrible experience of my work being laughed at is I've been protecting my work from being laughed at, from being ridiculed. And that is why it has never been able to get out in the world. I'm very proud of these techniques, but I want them out in the world. I'm a big sharer, as most of you know. And what I got one day, I'm sharing with people the next day, because that's the nature of who I am. But when it came to my work, it was a different matter. And today was the day when I recognized this. And how do I know that that's true? Is Fast Track took me to that age, to that situation where I never ever thought to go. That is the magic of Fast Track. And it allowed me to experience how I experienced as an 8-year-old, proud of something, thrilled to bits, and being devastated, and also told I was copying somebody and the original was better. Well, of course it was, but the devastation of that has impacted me ever since I was 8 years old. And that is a very, very long time. So there's two things I want to share really to wind this up. If you've got a situation and you just can't get to the bottom of it, it's because you're not getting to the root cause. And one incident, such as I had, can actually maim you for life because of the way it was received at the age that I was able to receive it. And that impacted my life, and it grew like a belief and a program response that has impacted me in so many ways. So I'm amazed I'm where I am. So if you've got a challenge like that, Fast Track can be your answer. Get to the root. There's nothing better than Fast Track in the world to get you to that place. And the other thing is to share is to be more conscious of what we do say to each other, to ourselves also, but more importantly, to young kids who are very vulnerable and they're finding their way in the world and they're doing the best they can, and they're coping with untold stresses these days, and are very, very sensitive and are not emotionally intelligent. They don't know how to choose or differentiate between emotions, between what's true and what's not true. And so this impacts them greatly. And they understand something, not in the way it was meant. I'm sure that woman didn't mean to be cruel to me. She could have been kinder, but I'm sure she didn't mean to maim me for life. But she could have given me that information in a much gentler way that could have empowered me to go back, try again, take it back, check, and possibly expanded my gift of drawing. I don't draw anymore. Another situation was when I was criticized for singing, and I don't sing anymore. So be very, very careful and considerate. of the messages that you do deliver to children. We're never going to get it all right, but if we could be more conscious of the intention for our messages, then they could be received better, and the world would be a much more balanced, loving world. I hope this impacts you. And if you've got any questions whatsoever, please do get in touch with me, and do consider playing Magical You or doing some fast track and get to the root cause of that thing that's been bugging you all your life. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to any responses that you'd like to share. Bye-bye.